Good morning, Rim Country. Chris Higgins in the studio. Hope you're having a great Friday morning. That's right, it is Friday. So if you guys are ready for the weekend, some really cool things going on that we'll talk about later, and check out our Facebook page also for more information on those events and happenings. But right now we have our Longhorn Spotlight program, and you can listen here on KRIM 96.3 FM or check us out on our KRIM radio Facebook page where we're live streaming this program as well. This morning on our Longhorn Spotlight program, we have Michael Ellis in the studio. Hello, Michael.
Good morning, hello.
And one of his students, Alex, and what is your last name?
Rubio.
Rubio, that's right. Alex Rubio. And we're going to be talking about the astronomy program at the high school. And is this a fairly new program, Michael?
It is. For the high school, this is really the first semester that we're doing it as a high school class. Last semester it was offered as an evening course for high school students and college students.
Yes, and it's really great that high school students have this opportunity, and a lot of it is due in part to GCC or the EAC Payson campus and Dr. Russell Genet.
Genet.
And others that have come on board and come into Rim Country or Payson with just a strong background in astronomy and their recent acquisition of a really cool telescope and plans to build a little observatory. So it's super exciting for, I would imagine, for the high school. Yes?
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that's one of the big draws for our students is that availability of having a telescope here in town to work with. And Dr. Genet was an amazing acquisition by the college to get him and his experience. I mean, they have a lot of people too. Lou Jackson is one of the professionals that's been working on a telescope and getting it going. He's phenomenal. And then of course Ann at the college is great too. It's been great working with all of them.
Wow. And so you just started this class, haven't you, Alex?
Yes, I have.
1 week experience.
Yeah.
So I guess how's it been so far?
It's pretty good. I like it. I was more of looking into the black holes, and I just looked at quasars, which is a pretty cool thing happening in space. But it's pretty interesting so far. The orbits is pretty cool with the orbits. I personally, the orbits was kind of confusing at first, but I'm starting to get it more and more.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I don't think anyone would expect you to get everything and understand everything in a week. And, I would imagine, astronomers and scientists are constantly learning and discovering, learning new things. So that's exciting. Now, I know listening to Dr. Genet.
Genet. French.
Genet. Genet. Listening to Dr. Genet, he spoke before the town council, just sharing what's happening at the college at GCC. And one of the things that he was, very excited about, and it's again wonderful for our students, is the possibility or the ability to publish papers.
Correct. That's the end goal of this class that Alex is in. And when he was referring to orbits, what they're doing is they're taking information from observations that Dr. Genet usually just goes by Russ. That Russ and his group took at Mount Wilson Observatory last year, and they're adding it to the U.S. Naval Observatory to plot a new orbit for binary stars. So they're looking at stars that orbit one another. So that's what Alex was referring to when calculating orbits and stuff.
Yes, and one of the big benefits, I know when he mentioned this, when Russ was talking about this, thought, well, just first having the ability to be part of this, to take part of this is great experience for our students. But he said it looks very good on college applications.
Correct, yeah. and even regular job applications, because it will be published. It's not published in a student journal or anything. It's a real scientific journal that they'll be published in, and it's going to be peer reviewed by real astronomers.
Wow.
And Russ, gosh, I wish I could remember where he started the program years ago, but he did the program in California, I believe it was, somewhere, and he had a student that started when he was about Alex's age, and by the time he graduated and went to interview with colleges and stuff, he had one of the admissions people tell him flat out, "You have more published papers than some of our PhD professors do."
Oh
And
my gosh.
he ended up getting offered, I think it was like 5 full-blown scholarships to different colleges and stuff. So
Mhm.
ultimately, that's what we're looking for our students, is that opportunity to help
Mhm.
with college applications and you know funding. Everybody knows how expensive college is nowadays.
Oh, yes.
So just that experience and getting them out there and doing real science.
Mhm. And potential for scholarships, like you
Mhm.
said, that's great. So Alex, what, I guess, did you know or do you know about astronomy before you came into the class?
I know very little bit. I just kept on selling videos about people talking about the cosmoses and like the universe and how like it expands
Mm-hmm.
a lot, and we don't even know where the very end is because it keeps on expanding.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what I know, and I find it very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not I wanted to pursue it as a career. I want to
Mhm.
pursue it as a hobby
Mm-hmm.
because it's not my personal thing to go
Yeah.
for a career.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have, and I should ask, what grade are you in?
I'm a sophomore.
A sophomore, okay. So you still have time as well, you know, just a sophomore, so time to think about it, take more classes, see kind of maybe what you really enjoy. Unless you already know, do you already have a good idea of kind of what you would maybe like to do when you graduate?
Software programming.
Software
More of
programming? Okay.
programming stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, hobby, stargazing, you know, it does, I know a lot of people enjoy that.
Mhm.
It is a great hobby.
Well, and the majority of the research done in astronomy is by amateur astronomers. It's not like Dr. Genet. It's not that they know less, it's just they're not paid for it, so they're considered amateurs. But a lot of the research that's done in astronomy that contributes to this type of research and other things is done by amateurs. And the other thing that's cool, and you were talking about the telescope, is we're looking at working with Lou Jackson and Russ on the software for the telescope. So that's
Mhm.
something that potentially Alex could get involved in. So, you know, it helps to find other avenues
Mhm.
for the students.
Yes, because that's such a broad field, software development. You look at how many applications or where computers are used in the software that has to be written
Yeah.
for, you know, those applications. So, wow, there are so many possibilities out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you get into that, or like discover like software writing, coding?
Well, I started in middle school.
Mhm.
I was watching some videos and I found that it was pretty interesting. I could make games that are my own design.
Mm-hmm.
And I've made some games, but they're not published and refurbished that
Mhm.
much. But it's pretty interesting with software and games because they're pretty similar in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I like both of them at the same time. And it's pretty interesting because I can make my own software and it's pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. It is cool when you take just random letters,
Yeah.
numbers, symbols, and arrange them, you know, and put them together, and then you execute, and it performs a function. It does
Yeah.
something, you know, whether a program, a game, or it is like you're building. Like you're building. It's not something physical that you can touch, but you know that you watch, you know, on the screen. So it is really cool. So it's exciting. I mean, this program just in its infancy really, just getting started. How much of interest has there been with students so far?
Well, I was surprised for this course because it was everything kind of happened really quick with Russ introducing himself at the beginning of the year and me getting involved. And so it was sort of towards the end of last semester that we put together this course for during our enrichment period. So it's not a full-blown period during the day, but I ended up with 11 students, which is
Wow.
is pretty good for a last minute thing. And since it started, I've had more come to me. So I foresee it really taking off, and which is phenomenal for the high school and for the college, because hopefully then those students will move on to GCC and they'll be the ones, working with these telescopes and the growth of the program there.
And I think it was mentioned, I think he mentioned, or someone mentioned also the possibility, and down the road, whether the college or the high school, but a planetarium.
Yeah.
That'd be wonderful. I know in our high school that I went to, in our science lab, we had a little planetarium, and it was really cool, just to, when they, our teacher turned that on, and just looking at the different constellations and stars, and it's neat because you don't have to wait for that sky,
Right.
or you can look at different skies in there instead of just what you have that night
Sure.
or at that time. But we're also very fortunate here to have such a dark sky too. So that really makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know with Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, they ended up having to build another one, even though they have the original one. A lot of the light pollution causes problems, so they have a new Discovery telescope up by Happy Jack.
Oh yeah.
So it's great. The skies here are phenomenal. I live in Tonga Basin myself, and when it's clear out, just the skies are phenomenal. It's a great place to be for astronomy.
It is, and I know up in Pine and Strawberry, or up on the rim, it's a little nicer as well. Not as much light, so the stars are brighter. Again, if you're just tuning in or just started watching us on our KRIM Facebook live stream, talking with instructor Michael Ellis and student Alex Rubio, and talking about the new astronomy program at Payson High School. And it was brought about largely in part to a few individuals in the community, Dr. Janae or Russ, and other members that just have a strong background in astronomy, and also just are involved, I want to say really involved in astronomy, and want to bring astronomy to the young people in our community, so have that opportunity, and especially if they have a desire to be part of published papers. So maybe that process, could you maybe explain the process a little bit, the length, what that looks like, how long it takes, and just the steps that are involved in having a paper published?
So with these papers, it really depends, because they're each choosing a binary star to study. So we probably will end up with two groups of students, and they work as a team on a paper. And so what they'll do is they'll do their research and data first, which is usually the shortest part actually, and then they'll compose their paper. And so we have to go through the whole writing process, and how a scientific paper is different than what most people are familiar with, because they use the PLA format instead of the MLA, which is MLA is what's typically taught in the English language arts. So we have to go through that process, and the papers themselves usually end up being about 3 to 5 pages, and it really depends on the students and how far they want to go. They can, because all of these binary stars have previous observations, they can go back and do a lot of the research and research some of the original published articles. If they are studying a binary star and something looks off on the orbit, they may have to actually redefine what the Naval Observatory has published. And so they'll have to justify that, and then when they submit it, then their orbit would become the new Naval Observatory's published orbit.
Wow.
So it's, time-wise, it's hard to say, because it really depends on how in-depth they get in their paper and how difficult the binary system is that they chose. But the process itself is, it can be long, especially the first time around, because they will have to have lots of different proofs. Obviously, I would be one of the first to proof it, and then Russ would proof it at the college, and then we would send it off to another professional astronomer before it gets published. And the publication is they would have to submit it with a professional letter to it's the Journal for Double Star Observations is where they publish them. And then it goes through a review process through them, and then it eventually is published. But we usually go through so many steps in advance to make sure that it's proofread and formatted correctly so that the JDSO has no reason to not publish the paper.
Gotcha. So have you had an opportunity to look through the telescope yet, or see the telescope?
No, I've never really looked through a telescope before. I may have looked through a mini one, small one, but I wasn't able to, because I used to live in California.
Okay.
And it was very polluted, so I couldn't see that much.
Yeah.
So, no, I haven't got an opportunity.
No. Are you looking forward to that, or excited about that?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, so about at what point would you say is Alex and the class going to get their first view through the microscope? When does that come?
So they ran into some issues with getting this telescope up and running, and they're waiting on a part. As soon as that gets up and running, it will be, we'll be able to use that.
Nice.
I am planning on I have my own telescopes as well. I'm planning on bringing them up at some point and doing just a night of observations with the students. Nothing as advanced as what they have at the college, but still it's a 12-inch, so it's still large enough to see some of the planets and things like that.
Now, I know the one at the college, they're saying that's like over 100,000, 125,000 or so for that telescope.
Yes,
I think.
yeah, it's a brand new plane wave. It's the top of the line, and it's a 1/2 meter. So that means that the mirror in it is a 1/2 meter wide. So it will be large enough to do deep space observations and get measurements on some of these double stars.
The other interesting thing with that telescope is that there's software and there's programs that allow it to be accessed from anywhere in the world once they get it functioning and hooked up. So students, astronomers from anywhere can access that and then view our sky and the stars in our sky.
Yep, and so the plan is eventually, and one of the opportunities that Alex will have is to go with us to Steamboat Springs this summer to Colorado Mountain College, and we're going to be discussing STEM sciences in college and high school. And it's also a process where Russ is working with developing a network of colleges that have telescopes that they can all link together. So one of the things, the course I took that was originally developed by Russ last semester at the college, we used it's called the Las Cruces Observatory, and it's a network of telescopes all over the world, and you can submit what observations you want, and then within a couple of days you get those images back. So that would be sort of the same idea with this telescope, is people would be able to submit, and then we would make the observations and then send them those observations.
Wow, that's great. And do you know other high schools, or this isn't something that's common, is it for high school students to have the ability to publish or be part of a published paper while in high school?
It's not very common. it's a great opportunity for
Yeah.
these guys. It's, there are a few that, and it's, a lot of it, I believe, and I hope I'm not misspeaking, started with Russ and his program, and then it's kind of people like me that have fallen in love with it, kind of adopted it themselves, and it's kind of grown and it's spreading a little bit, but it's still not very widespread. And I think it was before we were on air, I was telling you how a student that Russ had, he when he graduated, he started about Alex's age, and when he graduated, he started doing the interview process and stuff in colleges, and one of the entrance people told him that he had more published papers than most of their PhD professors, and that got him full-blown scholarships too.
Great opportunity, and also just, I know a newer program, I believe also at the high school or something that's being done. I don't know if it's through GCC, but with pilots here, flight simulators. And I believe they're implementing that at GCC as well, with the EAC Payson campus. And that's open to high school students also.
Yeah, that's another one that Russ started. Again, we have these people that move into Payson, and they're just amazing resources. And he started that one as well, and he actually designed the flight simulator for the Air Force, or he was part of designing for the F-16, I believe it was.
Wow.
And then so he took that experience, and he brought it to the college, and to do it. I believe they can do their full ground school here for a pilot's license.
And there's a lot of software there too.
Yeah.
I'd imagine creating the software for a flight simulator.
Yeah, it's pretty complicated. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. So yeah, it's great seeing all these doors open and opportunities for our young people here in Payson. Because a lot of times I think people assume or think, well, with a smaller school, a smaller high school, there's not as many opportunities. But I know with the CTE programs here at the Payson High School, boy, there are so many opportunities for students. Just have to ask, are there any other CTE programs that you have been a part of or that you're in? Or?
No, I'm part of the Payson, Arizona Student Aviation Group.
Okay.
And then DECA. Yeah, I'm part of those two groups, and it's pretty cool. I like it. Yeah, it's pretty much what I do over there.
Okay, so the aviation group, do you have a desire to get a pilot's license or something?
Well, what I really want to do is like create a navigational system, another more advanced than these airplanes that they have right now, because there's a lot of faults in them, and I want to help create one that's even better.
Oh wow!
And eventually, probably help them create one for outer space or something. It's
pretty cool.
Pretty cool, yeah. It's a pretty big dream.
Yeah, that's great though.
Yeah.
That is awesome, and it's wonderful to have resources in our community, like you were saying, Michael, people that have so much experience. Because I know Russ also, worked with NASA. Didn't he do work with NASA?
I'm not sure if he has experience with NASA or not. I know he did. He was in the Air Force for quite a long time, and he may have connections.
And I think with the telescope work, I know he was one of the people involved with the creation, the inventing of the robotic telescope.
Correct. Yeah, him, and it's actually Fairborn Institute. Well, it started out as Fairborn Observatory, and Fairborn Institute branched off. But yeah, he and another gentleman, I don't remember his name, were the first to automate these telescopes, and so that's where the software comes in with locating stars and things for taking images. But yeah, he was a big part of that.
That's really cool. So DECA as well. Did you happen to go on any of the recent trips with DECA?
I went to the NASCAR trip, and then I forgot. It was the baseball trip. I forgot the name of the team that they were going against, but it was the Arizona.
The Diamondbacks?
Diamondbacks, plus I think it was the San Francisco
Giants?
Giants, yeah.
Gotcha.
I went to those. Those were pretty interesting. I learned a lot about marketing.
Oh, that's right.
Cool.
That was the sports marketing?
Sports marketing, and then the NASCAR one is pretty cool. It's the first time I think Payson's done that. or the deck has done that, but it's pretty cool. I like it a lot.
Was that your first time at a NASCAR race? Or?
Oh yeah. What I want to see is a lot of F1s too, the F1 cars.
Oh, the Formula One
yeah,
racing?
but it's pretty cool, the NASCARs.
How did you like the baseball game?
Oh, it was pretty boring. It was a boring baseball game.
It was a boring baseball game.
Yeah.
I know, yeah. Unless you're really into baseball, 9 innings can seem like a long time.
Yeah.
So.
It was a late game too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so the racing was a little more exciting?
Yeah, very loud too.
Yeah, oh, I know, those cars or something. How close to the track were you?
We were right, I think it was like the VIP area. They opened it for DECA.
Oh,
so,
cool.
And we got it, we were right next to the track. It was very loud, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when they all, like the group of cars come around, it's like boom, 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 boom,
yeah.
boom, 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 you know, but real loud. Did you also, I remember last time I was there, like little pieces of rubber would come off the tires, and if you're close enough, like those can fly, and it's not like they're hitting you, they're smaller, but if you have a drink and you don't keep it covered, you look down and there's these little black things floating in your drink, and it's the little pieces of rubber coming off the tires.
Yeah, no, we didn't have that, no. We had a sunroof above us, so.
Yeah. For VIP.
Yeah.
I was a VIP when I went, so. No, well, that's cool. Any other upcoming adventures or trips with DECA?
No, but I know they're about to go to their state championship, or their state thing for their competition.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a 3-day trip.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I should have done it, but I had to do some other stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And any other CT programs that you have interest in, or you thought I might want to check that out, or?
I don't really know that much about CTE.
Gotcha.
Yet, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I know you had a robotics program. Is that still going? The robotics?
So they developed they have the whole STEM lab now.
Gotcha.
They call it, well, it's the STEAM lab there,
yeah.
because they have some art stuff too.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I feel bad, I forget his name. I think David Smith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from he was with the drama. Or
yeah, and I think he still runs the auditorium stuff too.
Yeah.
But he's took that over,
Mm-hmm.
and so he's doing some great stuff with the kids there. There's been a lot of transitions with people and places, and so hopefully that will take back off again too. But my interest has shifted a little bit towards the astronomy stuff.
Yeah. So what caused that? I guess the shift from robotics to astronomy. Just.
Well, my background, my degree is actually in physics, so it aligns a little bit more with my background. Anyways, it's just one of those things that I always like developing new programs and being a part of stuff when it starts, and seeing what grabs the kids and what interests the kids. And so that's why I hope this really takes off. And like we said, with the publishing of the papers and scholarships, and even if they're not going into astronomy, having those papers will help with scholarships and entrance. So
and someone like Alex, said, hey, this isn't the field I'm looking to go into, but with software development, software engineering, whatever you end up going into along those lines, I mean, if there's an opportunity to have a paper published, even if it's dealing with stars, astronomy, that still looks great. A college application, a resume. That's really impressive.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that they don't really care what the field is. They want just that you have the experience doing it. I know one of the courses I teach is AP Physics, and one of the conferences I went to, they were talking how a lot of med schools are actually looking at physics students now, because it's not that they have biology or whatever courses that they know how to think. They're looking for how they think, and the ability to adapt and do things. So this is a great example of them being able to work on research and publish papers.
Oh, great. Well, hey, it's 10:30.
Yep.
It goes quick, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you so much. Thanks
you.
for
Thank you.
coming in, Michael, Alex, and keep up the great work,
Yeah,
man.
thank you.
Oh, yeah, so welcome. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in this morning. And really want to thank Russ and, is it Lou Jackson?
Mm-hmm.
And all of the others that...
And Knights.
And Knight. Yeah, everyone that's been involved with this, that has put in all the effort, the time, to bring this to our community to benefit our young people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just great. So great job to those guys and everyone at the college, EAC Payson campus that's been helping out with that as well. All right, well, time to get back to the music with some Echo and the Bunnymen and Blue Oyster Cult, Rolling Stones, and more. But first, let's get a quick update from the National Weather Service. When I name those bands, you probably don't know any of them?
Nope.
No.